Good evening, and welcome back to WNBA Trending. I'm your host, Ava, and tonight we're focusing on a major development surrounding the Indiana Fever. The team is facing yet another uphill battle, this time without two of its most important contributors, rookie phenom Caitlin Clark and veteran guard Sophie Cunningham. Fever head coach Stephanie White has spoken out, and her comments reveal not just the immediate challenge, but the deeper issues plaguing this young squad. The Indiana Fever entered the 2025 WNBA season with massive expectations. Caitlin Clark's arrival had already transformed the franchise's popularity, attendance, and national profile. Alongside her, players like Aliyah Boston, Nalissa Smith, Kelsey Mitchell, and Sophie Cunningham built the foundation of what fans and analysts believed could become a true playoff contender. But as is often the case in professional sports, the season hasn't gone exactly to plan. Clark is sidelined with an injury that has shaken both the roster and the fanbase. Cunningham, one of the vocal leaders in the locker room and a defensive spark on the court, has also been absent due to her own setback. With both players out, the Fever suddenly look like a team searching for its identity, and the pressure is falling directly on the shoulders of coach Stephanie White. In her recent media availability, White did not mince words. She acknowledged that without Clark and Cunningham, the Fever are missing their engine and their glue. Clark, of course, is the engine, the player who makes the offense go, who pushes the pace, stretches defenses with her shooting, and creates opportunities for everyone else. Cunningham, meanwhile, has been described by White as the glue. She brings toughness, veteran savvy, and vocal leadership that helps keep the team together when adversity hits. Without those two, White admitted, the Fever must find new ways to compete, and quickly. The numbers back up White's concerns. Since Clark's absence, Indiana's scoring has dropped significantly, and their turnover rate has spiked. The ball movement, once one of the team's strengths, looks stagnant. Kelsey Mitchell, usually a reliable scorer, is now drawing the toughest defensive assignments night in and night out. Aliyah Boston is still a dominant presence inside, but with defenses collapsing on her, she hasn't had the same freedom she enjoyed with Clark orchestrating on the perimeter. Then there's the defensive side. Cunningham often took on the assignment of guarding the opponent's top scorer. Without her, the Fever's perimeter defense has been shaky, allowing guards to penetrate at will. Opponents have feasted on Indiana's rotations, exposing the lack of chemistry when Cunningham isn't on the floor. Stephanie White, however, isn't pointing fingers. Instead, she's emphasizing accountability and growth. In her words, this is an opportunity for players to step up and define who they are in this league. White praised Mitchell for embracing a leadership role and highlighted Boston's resilience in continuing to anchor the team despite the double teams. She also challenged the Fever's bench, saying that moments like this can be career-defining for younger players. Fans, of course, are restless. The Fever's home games remain a hot ticket, largely due to the Caitlin Clark effect, but attendance isn't enough to quiet concerns about wins and losses. Social media has been buzzing with debates, some fans calling for patience, others questioning the front office for not building deeper around their stars. White acknowledged this outside noise, but insisted that the Fever must block it out and focus on controlling what we can control. What makes this situation even more pressing is the timing. The WNBA standings are tight, and every game matters for playoff positioning. The Fever had been in the mix for a mid-tier seed, but a losing skid could easily push them toward the bottom of the table. White's comments suggest she knows how critical this stretch is. Without Clark and Cunningham, the Fever aren't just fighting to stay competitive, they're fighting to prove they can survive adversity as a young team learning to grow together. There's also a long-term perspective. Clark's injury, while not career-threatening, raises questions about how much responsibility the Fever can pile onto her shoulders. White spoke candidly about not wanting to run Caitlin into the ground and emphasized the importance of developing balance in the roster. That means other players must evolve. Nalissa Smith, for example, has shown flashes of brilliance but has been inconsistent. White believes that now is the time for Smith to step up and prove she can be a reliable second or third option behind Clark and Boston. Sophie Cunningham's absence also highlights a gap in veteran presence. White noted that Cunningham's voice in practice and in games often kept the team focused, especially when mistakes piled up. Without her, White admitted that she herself has had to take on a heavier motivational role, but she stressed that leadership has to come from within the players, not just the coaching staff. So, what's next for the Fever? White has outlined a few priorities. First, tightening up defense. She wants to see the team commit to communication, effort, and rotations, even if they can't replicate Cunningham's one-on-one abilities. Second, spreading out the offense. With Clark sidelined, the team can't rely on one player to create. Instead, White is urging more ball movement and patience in the half-court. Finally, mental toughness. She repeatedly used the phrase "weather the storm," emphasizing that the Fever's resilience now could define the trajectory of the entire season. The big question is whether the Fever can actually execute that plan. History shows that young teams often struggle when their stars go down. But there's also opportunity. White cited examples from across the WNBA of role players seizing their moment and never looking back. Could someone like Lexi Hull, Christy Wallace, or Katie Lou Samuelson emerge as an unexpected hero? White certainly hopes so. As we wrap up tonight's segment, it's clear that Stephanie White is not shying away from the challenge. Her message to the Fever is simple but powerful. Don't wait for Caitlin Clark and Sophie Cunningham to save you. Find your strength now, grow through the adversity, and when they return, the team will be stronger for it. For Fever fans, this may be a frustrating stretch, but it's also a revealing one. We're seeing not just how much Clark means to this franchise, but also how vital players like Sophie Cunningham are to the chemistry and competitive edge of the team. And most importantly, we're seeing Stephanie White's leadership in action. Honest, demanding, but still hopeful. Time will tell whether the Fever can weather this storm. But one thing is for certain, this team, with Clark, with Cunningham, with Boston, and under White's guidance, still has a bright future. It's just a matter of getting through the darkness to reach it. I'm Ava, and this has been WNBA Trending. Stay tuned for more updates, highlights, and in-depth analysis on the WNBA's biggest stories.